But that's only one straight line. How do we represent all the other straight lines? Well, let's take our equation here, which is read every y coordinate equals every x coordinate, and just before the x we'll add in another letter, and we can add in the letter m. So what this equation says here is y equals mx. So this is our second equation. And you'll see here it says add slider. So if I was to click on this m, this allows us to change the value for m. So you can see at the moment m is equal to 1. So whenever m is equal to 1, we've just got y equals 1 times x. Well, 1 times x is just x, so we've just got y equals x at the moment, and that's the line that we've seen drawn in the previous video. So let's see what's going to happen whenever we make the value for m a different number. Now before we go and do that, we're going to see if we can work out what's going to happen first. So let's say we were to make the value of m equal 2. Then we would have this equation and it would say y is equal to 2 times x. So what we would be saying then in simple language is that every y coordinate would equal 2 times the x coordinate. So let's say for example x was equal to 1, then every y coordinate would equal 2 times the 1, which would be 2. If x was 2, then the y coordinate would be 2 times 2, which would be 4, and 3 would be 6, and so on and so forth. So we're going to get a line that's a bit steeper. So whenever we change this value of m, it changes how steep the line is. So let's have a little look and we'll see it actually happening. So let's grab the slider and we'll change it, and there you see the line getting steeper and steeper, and there it is at 2. And as we said, in this case here we'll have y equals 2x, so whenever x is 1, y is 2, when x is 2, y is 4, and the same in the negative value, whenever x is minus 1, y will be minus 2 will give us the value of minus 4. So we can press play on this and it will work through every single number. But before we do that, just let's move it ourselves so you can see it going positive and positive. And let's see what happens whenever it goes higher and higher and it gets steeper and steeper and steeper. And then let's go the other direction. If we were to come all the way back down to a value of 0, the line just disappears. It runs along the x-axis because what we have here is y is equal to 0 times x. Well, 0 times anything just gives us a value of 0, so that's just telling us that every height is going to be a value of 0. So it doesn't matter what x is, the height is going to be 0, so it just lies along this x-axis. Now the interesting thing is what happens whenever this value goes negative. And you see when it goes negative, it now runs in the other direction. So we can see here that if we have if m equals minus 1, then we'll have the equation of a line, and the line will be y equals minus 1 times x. So what we're saying here is that for every x point, the y value will be the negative of it. So for example here, if we have a value of x is 1, then y would equal minus 1. If x equals 2, y would equal minus 2. In this instance here, if x equals minus 1, then y would be the minus of minus 1, which is plus 1. And minus 2 would be plus 2. So we would have a line running here from the left to right. It would run down the way. Now we can see here that this value m tells us how steep the line is going to be. Now in mathematics we don't use the word steepness, we actually use the word gradient. So this is going to tell us what the gradient is. So this is our second mathematical equation, y equals mx, and the value of m gives us the steepness or the gradient of the line. And all of these lines here run through this point here, and you'll see whenever we click on the point we get a 0, 0. Now the first number there is the x coordinate, so that's the x position, and the second number is the y position. So if I was to come along here, you would see that along this graph the x coordinate is equal to the y coordinate, so we've got our 1, 1. So if I was to change this for a value of 2, you'd see here that as we worked along, we would have our x coordinate here would be a value of 1 and our y coordinate would be a value of 2. So that's all. Let's press play on this and I'll see you in the next video.